What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NerdyMark channel. I am Sid the NerdyMark, and this is the NerdyMark Wrestling Show. So, what exactly is the NerdyMark Wrestling Show? Well, the title is pretty self-explanatory. It is my show where I talk about everything going on this week in the wacky world of wrestling. I don't want to just talk about AEW and NXT because, frankly, I've been getting a little bit bored of just talking about that, and I don't want to lose my passion for YouTube and the thing that I love so much, which is wrestling as well as nerd culture. Speaking of which, on the weekend, I will be having a show called In Other News where I talk about everything and anything going on in the world of nerd culture. I'll explain a little bit more on that video when I do finally put that out. Wrestling show on the NerdyMark channel will consist of news, rumors, and reports for this week. Then, of course, my quick thoughts on AEW and NXT, and finally ended out with a wrestling question of the week. And I will let you guys record your responses in the comment section below, and the best answer will get featured on next week's video right before I start the news, rumors, and reports. I want to try this out for the rest of this month and probably for all of August, and then we'll come back, compare notes. If you guys like this better, I will continue to do this. If you guys want me to go back to just the regular old weekly reviews, I will do that. I'm a man of the people. That's what I'll do. But with that, let's get into this. Let's try this out for the coming few weeks, and then hopefully into the foreseeable future. As hopefully this will be a little bit more fun for you, and quite frankly for me, because it'll be easier for me to edit. And hopefully down the line, I'll have some cooler graphics. Where I start dabbling in Premiere Pro once again. So that'll be there. But yeah, I want to definitely get into that. But for now, let's kind of talk about some of the news, rumors, and reports that came out this week. So the first piece of news concerns the former tag team known as the Revival, now known as FTR. They did leave WWE earlier this year. They let their contracts expire, and now they have been released, and they are in AEW now. So, when they made their debut, the internet just went crazy. And now, however, they are wanting to go to other pro wrestling companies and test their mettle over there. Now, obviously, they haven't really signed full-fledged contracts, so they're technically still free agents, so I can kind of see that happening at some point. However, with the whole pandemic and this whole COVID-19 situation going on, I don't know how plausible that is. I would be interested to see what's happening, but I'm going to go ahead and read the official statement from FTR regarding all this. So here goes. First, we got to smack the piss out of Kenny Omega for pouring out our beer. First and foremost, we said we're the best tag team on the planet for a long time. We've proved it time and time again, but right now, our side's obviously going to be set on the tag team gold. When you're the champions, you get the pay raise. You get all the perks that come with it. We want to be AEW tag team champions. We want to just run through the entire division and have anybody that wants to step to us, because that's what we do. We prove it in the ring. We can prove it wherever you want, but when it comes down to it, we want to get in that ring, lace up our boots, and do what we do. So it looks like they are first wanting to get into the tag team title picture, and obviously strip Kenny and Hangman of the tag team titles. And then down the line, obviously they want to go down and face off against other tag teams in various other promotions. They mentioned the Rascals from Impact Wrestling, the Briscoes from Ring of Honor, Finlay and Juice from New Japan, as well as Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, which is a match that I would really like to see. Again, as much as I want to see those matches, first of all, I want to see Bucks versus FTR, and second of all, for sure, FTR as AEW Tag Team Champions. That would be awesome. Those are the two matches that I really need to see from FTR first before they decide to go anywhere else. That's just my opinion, but let me know what you guys think about this article. Our next piece of news still concerns AEW, more specifically the chairman and CEO of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan. He has been saying that he wants to sign more familiar wrestlers onto AEW. My mind obviously already goes to former WWE or even current WWE talent. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens in the coming few months or even years to come. Tony Khan and AEW have already signed Ricky Starks as well as Abaddon to their roster. I believe also Brian Pillman Jr. because he has been wrestling a few matches on AEW Dark. I think it's only a matter of when and not if he gets signed. So there's that. So they could also mean those things as well. And obviously they even hinted in the promo package before Cody versus Sonny Kiss, they even hinted at a possible match between Cody and Warhorse. He's been obviously calling out Cody on social media, and a lot of people do like Warhorse, so that would be pretty cool. However, like I said, my mind already goes to WWE talent. Tony Khan also has an official statement, and I will read that out to you as well. Tony Khan says, and I quote, "I'd like to keep expanding. I think we found a great roster, but I don't think people should expect that you'll never see more people debuting or that this is it. I think we're constantly evolving. We brought some of the great stars of wrestling in. We've introduced some of the great new stars in wrestling in addition to guys that were household names in wrestling and guys whose names have really grown. We've got a big impact made by MJF, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and a lot of other people that have come in and done really well for us. What I'd like to do is take the best of what we have, then don't be surprised to see more new people and new faces." Now, obviously, Tony Khan did not explicitly say, "I want to sign new WWE superstars," but I would not be surprised if he had his eye on a few of them as we speak. Now, many people, including Cody and Chris Jericho, have mentioned that AEW isn't interested in more than 2 or 3 superstars from WWE. I mean, Jon Moxley was one of them, so I guess that only leaves 2 more people. But if that's the case, I'm still excited because I'm always looking to see, a former superstar from another place debuting in AEW because it is the newer promotion and whatnot. So there's still the new promotion. So I still want to see some established names come into AEW. Just make sure that you don't make it like WCW and just import a bunch of stars who establish themselves elsewhere, and so they try to run roughshod. So please don't do that. Tony Khan, please learn from the mistakes of WCW. But as far as talent that I personally would love to see in AEW, I guess from WWE, so there's a couple of people. Definitely Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. I would love to see him there. Definitely Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, maybe even Miro, formerly known as Rusev. I would love to see perhaps Chad Gable over there. Although Chad Gable, I think he should go to New Japan, either join up with Chaos or Suzuki Gun, and that would be really cool. Of course, after Mizurona decides to go away, and and there's a couple of people there. So, but mainly Nakamura and Cesaro, to be frank with you guys. Those are the people that I really want to see on AEW. But I'm excited to see what happens. He's saying look forward to more new signings coming soon. I'm excited to see who those signings might be, and I would not be surprised if any of those signings were some of those names that I just mentioned. So those are some of the news articles that I found very interesting. If there are any others that I missed, definitely let me know in the comments below. But for now, let's talk about AEW and NXT. Let's begin with AEW. They had their Fight for the Fallen show this week. Last year, they donated to victims of gun violence, and now they're donating to victims and survivors of COVID-19. So good on them. Again, COVID-19 is real, okay, Vince? It's real. Fight for the Fallen was an absolutely fantastic show. Not just were there some really good matches, there were also some really good storylines being, proceeded forward, particularly within, the entire elite kind of super group that isn't as much of a super group as it once was before. I'm going to just run down quickly about what I thought about every match. Cody versus Sonny Kiss was really good. I think the athleticism between the two men is absolutely fantastic. Cody Rhodes does put away Sonny Kiss with a crossroads finally, but Cody was employing a lot of heelish tactics. And we even had Arn Anderson yelling at Cody, and the announcers playing up how Cody wasn't really in form. Cody was seen arguing with Aubrey Edwards, who he never argues with, and also tearing off the turnbuckle pad to bash in poor old Sonny Kiss's face into. When Sonny Kiss was down, Cody was there just doing push-ups. All those things absolutely do smell of a heel turn. I think Cody is going to be going down as a heel. Obviously, Cody down the line, he also was doing this whole thing and just using 4 fingers and rubbing it all over his body. That sounds so weird. I'm so sorry. They are, I think, leading to a newer version of the Four Horsemen, and who the other members might be, I'll talk about in just a minute. But Sonny Kiss's entrance was really good. He came out dancing with 3 of the cheerleaders from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, if any of those 3 ladies are single, just tell them to hit me up on my old cell phone. But anyway, can't wait to see who Cody Rhodes challenges next week. Lucha Bros versus FTR. This was another very good match between 2 very good teams. I thought the teamwork here between both teams was really good. The athleticism was fantastic. Just 2, very much polar opposite teams, absolutely compatible in the ring. So good stuff there. Finally, FTR does put away the Lucha Bros, and we do have Butcher and Blade taunting FTR with their car keys. Young Bucks save them and get the car keys back to FTR. And then we had Kenny Omega trying to extend an olive branch to FTR after last week when he poured out the beer. So he brings out 3 cans of beer, and FTR just dumped the beer on him, and he gets really, really pissed. This plays into something a little later on. I thought this was really cool. I thought this was a fine match. Obviously continuing to have tension brew between Kenny Omega and the Bucks. And FTR, and even Hangman Adam Page a little bit, who we'll see a little later on today. I'm glad that they're doing this slow build to that match. I'm very, very excited. Up next, sticking with the Elite here, Jurassic Express versus the Elite. Before that, we did have Chris Jericho coming out. He got soaked with orange juice, courtesy of Orange Cassidy. That was awesome. And he kept on complaining about it on commentary. Omega was still soaked in beer, and he just took out all his frustrations on poor old Marco's stunt. There was even one point where Luchasaurus trying to shield little old Marco's stunt from a vicious V-trigger by Kenny Omega, but Kenny just hit the V-trigger onto a Luchasaurus. Very uncharacteristic of Kenny Omega in the recent past, where he is a lot more vicious and a lot more violent and a little bit more cold, I think. Much more characteristic of a certain cleaner that we've seen in New Japan. Kenny Omega puts away Marco Stunt with a hellacious-looking one-winged angel. We haven't seen him use that move in a very long time, honestly. Afterwards, we do have him apparently showing a sign of respect to Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and also Marco Stunt, but he just pummels Marco to the ground, and he has this really psychotic look on his face when he does it. I am really sensing a heel turn. By the way, FTR and Hangman Adam Page are drinking in the backstage and watching this match. I am definitely guessing that we're going to have heel Kenny and Young Bucks versus, a babyface team of FTR and Hangman Adam Page. Although FTR also could become part of the Four Horsemen because Tully Blanchard was watching their match and Cody's match. So we could be leading to the Four Horsemen being FTR, Cody, and Sean Spears. So that could be interesting. But personally, I would love to see FTR, Cody, and Hangman Adam Page. That would, I think, make a little bit more sense because Cody and Spears don't really like each other. So it would be kind of weird to have them be a team again. Brandy Rhodes and Allie versus Kenzie Page and MJ Jenkins. Nothing to write about here. It was a pretty quick match. Didn't really care too much. Brandy Rhodes and Allie win. They're still trying to figure themselves out as a team. Nyla Rose announcing that Vicky Guerrero is her manager. Very interesting pick. I think it's awesome. But then again, our ears are going to bleed every single week, so be ready for that. And then we get to the main event. Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage was a brutal affair. This was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Until Brian Cage got locked in with a submission by Jon Moxley and Taz threw in the towel. I understand why, in his insurance policy, and they played up the fact that Brian Cage can't lose another 5 months of his career. I get that, but still, I don't know how I felt about it in kayfabe terms. Afterwards, we did have Brian Cage trying to beat up Moxley, but who should make a return but Darby Allin? He hits Brian Cage with a skateboard. The tensions are brewing. You know, obviously, Mox and Darby aren't exactly the best of friends either, but, you know, they're still a lot cooler with each other than Brian Cage is. So I'm honestly guessing we're going to have a triple threat for the AEW title at some point. That should be awesome. These three men are all really, really amazing, and I can't wait to see what the eventual match is going to be. But overall, Fight for the Fallen was amazing. Kenny Omega and Cody, their heel turns incoming. I cannot wait to see what happens. Obviously, we're leading towards a formation possibly of the Four Horsemen, as well as a heel elite with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. They were the three people who started it all anyway, and I think this is the way it should be. I just hope they don't become NWO 2.0. Those three be the elite, no one else, okay? That's all I want to see. But that's pretty much it for AEW. Let's talk about NXT. Now, I'm not going to lie, NXT this week was a little bit lackluster for me. Now, don't get me wrong, there were still two really good matches this night, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. However, the rest of the night was just absolutely throwaway. We began with, of course, Keith Lee opening up, your new double champion, which is awesome. He cuts a very long promo. This seems like the handiwork of Vince McMahon, because he seems to be the one who puts out all these long-ass promos. I don't know what to say about that, but he does obviously offer a shot at both titles to his longtime frenemy, Dominik Dijakovic. We'll talk about that match in just a sec, but let's talk about Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes. This was a good match. I really liked it. I would say this was a sleeper hit because it was really good. Finally had a medically cleared 100% Damian Priest going up against 100% Cameron Grimes. So it was good to see that. Very brutal match after everything Cameron Grimes put Damian Priest through. But Damian Priest does finally use a draped over reckoning onto Cameron Grimes to win the match. And then he's basically saying that he's setting his sights on Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Everybody has their eyes on Keith Lee, including Johnny Gargano, Finn Balor, Priest, Grimes, and everybody else, as we saw in the opening promo package. A really good match. Indy Hartwell and Shotzi Blackheart was a decent match until Robert Stone showed up. I mean, I don't know why they have this whole Robert Stone thing and with Aaliyah. Like, I mean, honestly, Robert Stone is literally just an excuse for Aaliyah to be on TV. I don't need to see Aaliyah on my TV screens. She's horrible, she's terrible, and I do not like her. Let her be a runway model for all I care. Just don't wrestle, please and thank you. She's pretty, and you know, she has a great look, she has a great physique. Let her be a freaking model for all I care. And this is not me being sexist. This is just me saying that she just can't wrestle. Shotzi Blackheart loses, like I said, because of a distraction from Robert Stone and Aaliyah. This was really stupid. I think Robert Stone is Vince McMahon's idea. A lot of people are saying that he's like a parody of Tony Khan. Perhaps this is Vince's way of getting a really cheap shot in at Tony Khan, which is kind of dumb. I just don't know why Robert Stone and Aaliyah are around. Like, get them the hell off of my TV screens, honest to God. But we do get the North American and NXT Championship matchup next. Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee, the double champion, in what was an absolute classic. I loved this match a lot. Both of these men absolutely know each other from like the back of their hand. Hashtag fight forever for all I care. I don't give a shit, man. This was awesome. A lot of good stuff here and some good back and forth action. But finally, Keith Lee does retain the title. Has a show of respect for Dominik Dijakovic. They both hug it out. But then we see that Scarlett Bordeaux, well, Scarlett as she's called. I keep wanting to call her Scarlett Bordeaux, but she's just Scarlett in NXT. So Scarlett comes out and she produces a bag which contains the empty pieces of that clock, that sand clock. I forget what are those called. Let me know in the comments below, the little sand clock things. But yeah, she basically puts out one of the broken pieces that Keith Lee shattered onto there, continuing to show that that Karrion Kross is coming. Karrion Kross does attack Dominik Dijakovic, not before saying something to him, I believe in Swedish or something like that. Dijakovic is of European descent. He's from one of those, I believe, Nordic countries. Karrion Kross is a very intelligent man who apparently speaks several languages. that was an interesting bit. I like that. We had Timothy Thatcher jobbing out Denzel Desjardins. Actually, no, Denzel put in a bit of a showing, but finally he tapped out to the Fujiwara armbar. I do have to say, Mauro Ranallo called it the Timothy Thatcher's patented Fujiwara armbar. That is not patented by Timothy Thatcher. That's patented by Fujiwara, which is, I forget his first name, but it's patented by the wrestler Fujiwara. So that's why it's called the Fujiwara armbar. If it was patented by Thatcher, we'd be calling it the Thatcher armbar, okay? Get your facts straight. Maybe he's just saying the patented Fujiwara armbar and he's referring to Fujiwara. I'm not sure. And also, I also wanted to point out how during the Keith Lee Dijakovic match, he was, his upbeat self, Mamma Mia, all around. But when Scarlett came about, his voice changed to that of a somber narrator. And that's one thing I love about Mauro. Like, his tonal shifts in his voice accentuate the situation. He's a masterclass at commentary. I don't understand how anybody doesn't like him. He's fantastic, okay? And you can't tell me otherwise. As far as the main event goes, Io Shirai versus Tegan Nox for the NXT Women's Champion. Another really good match here. I thought this was fantastic. Io Shirai and Tegan Nox, absolutely really good chemistry between the two. Shirai being a bit of a heel here. She is more of the tweener anyway, so I'm totally fine with her doing that, kind of healing it up in this situation. Tegan Nox absolutely gives Shirai a run for her money, and it definitely shows that she is a viable competitor for that NXT Women's Champion. So one day we are going to see her as NXT Women's Champion, mark my words. Io Shirai, the Genius of the Sky, does defend her title successfully. This is her first title defense, obviously, and she wins with the moonsault, and then she's kicked by Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox's former best friend. Dakota Kai comes in and attacks her and basically stakes her claim to the NXT Women's Champion. So that should be interesting. I would love to see a match between those two. I do still need to see Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai Part 2, once again with the roles kind of reversed. That's how we ended NXT. I thought NXT was, like I said, a decent show. A bit lackluster for me, especially after all the big developments going on in AEW and then watching NXT. I don't know. This week, I would say that AEW absolutely won, and they did win in the ratings war too this week. So, by the way, Chris Jericho is the demo god now, so there's that. Good stuff. Either way, we still had some good wrestling here this week as far as both AEW and NXT go. So that's that. So let's talk about my question for you. That's right, you, the viewer. This week, as we saw on Fight for the Fallen, Brian Cage and Jon Moxley went at it, and it was still a brutal affair, by the way. I forgot to mention, it was a very brutal affair with Jon Moxley almost breaking the man's arm. The guy suffered a freaking leg injury, or a knee injury, I believe, already, and he was already trying to attack the knee. Anyway, so obviously Brian Cage failed to remove the title from Jon Moxley. I'm pretty sure he will be back at some capacity in the title picture. But my question is very simple. Who do you think should dethrone Jon Moxley as AEW champion? My personal picks, two of them, either a babyface or kind of tweener Hangman Adam Page, or a fully heel, cleaner Kenny Omega, kind of bringing that all full circle because, he couldn't do it as a good guy. Now he's the bad guy, and the roles are kind of reversed. Well, I wouldn't say the roles are reversed because I think Jon Moxley was also kind of a tweener in the beginning, but you get the gist. So I would love to see heel Kenny Omega, the cleaner, clean up the competition and finally get back on top, where in my opinion he belongs. But who do you think should take it off of Moxley? Leave all that stuff in the comment section below, and your response could be featured on next week's video. So that concludes the first edition of the Nerdy Mark Wrestling Show. Look out for In Other News this weekend, where I talk about everything and anything going on in the world of nerd culture. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about this new format, and I would love to continue making videos like this. This is a lot easier to film and probably going to be a little bit easier to edit. So, and also I think covering more content in a shorter span of time. So there's that. But with that being said, thank you for watching. Again, let me know all your thoughts about everything that I covered in the comment section below. And of course, answer that question if you want to be featured on next week's video. But with that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow me on social media, and and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I can't speak today. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.